What happens when one of Hollywood's most grounded stars faces off against a late-night host who thrives on scripted charm but crumbles under unfiltered honesty? A showdown so intense it forced network executives to intervene, leaving audiences stunned and social media erupting in a firestorm of debate. The night Mark Wahlberg appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was meant to be a routine stop to promote his latest film. Instead, it became a tense, unscripted clash that ended with Wahlberg escorted off the set during a commercial break, never returning for the second segment. Before we dive into the sparks that ignited this explosive encounter, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Have you ever seen the polished facade of a celebrity interview crack under pressure? Let's unpack the truth behind this unforgettable night, revealing the side of late-night TV the networks don't want you to see. The evening kicked off like any other episode of The Late Show. The studio, nestled in the heart of New York City, buzzed with anticipation. The audience's energy crackled under the bright lights as Stephen Colbert took the stage, his signature grin in place, delivering a sharp monologue that skewered the latest political headlines and celebrity gossip. The crowd ate it up, their laughter echoing through the Ed Sullivan Theater. Then came the main event. Mark Wahlberg, introduced with a flourish. The one and only Mark Wahlberg. Colbert announced, the band laying down a punchy riff as the actor strode onto the set. His walk was confident, purposeful, a man who carries his Boston roots like a badge. He shook Colbert's hand, a firm grip that lingered just a moment, and settled into the guest chair, his posture relaxed but alert. The first few minutes followed the standard late-night playbook. Colbert lobbed softballs about Wahlberg's latest project, a gritty action drama rooted in his working-class upbringing. The actor spoke with sincerity, his Boston accent coloring his words as he described the film's themes of resilience and loyalty. The audience leaned in, drawn to his earnestness. Then Colbert shifted gears, aiming for a lighter tone. So, Mark, I hear you're up at 4:30 every morning, hitting the gym like a machine, he said, leaning forward with that familiar smirk, setting up a punchline. What's that about? You training to fight aliens or just trying to make the rest of us feel lazy? The crowd chuckled, expecting Wahlberg to play along. Yeah, I'm up early, Wahlberg replied, his tone steady, unapologetic. Discipline's everything to me. It's how I've stayed in this game for so long. A consistency, hard work. The answer was pure Wahlberg, direct, no fluff. But Colbert, sensing a chance to milk the moment for laughs, didn't let it go. He leaned back, exaggerating a grimace for the audience. Come on, 4:30? Nobody's up that early unless they're delivering papers or milking cows. The crowd laughed again, but there was a slight edge to it, as if they sensed the jab didn't quite land. Colbert pressed on, his voice dripping with mock disbelief. Isn't that just a beat, a broken bar excessive? Wahlberg's eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of irritation crossing his face. He wasn't here to be the butt of a joke. Look, Stephen, everybody's got their thing, he said, his voice calm but firm. This works for me. It's how I built my career, sticking to what I believe in. The camera caught a subtle shift in Colbert's expression, a flash of annoyance, quickly masked. He was used to guests rolling with his comedic rhythm, feeding him the light-hearted banter that fuels viral clips. But Wahlberg wasn't playing the game, and the first crack in the interview's polished surface appeared. Colbert pivoted, asking about the new film, and Wahlberg opened up about its personal resonance. This role hits close to home, he said, his voice softening. It's about a guy who never forgets where he came from, a Boston, working-class roots, fighting for what's right. Authenticity matters to me. The audience nodded along, drawn to his sincerity. But Colbert, perhaps sensing the moment was too earnest for his show's sharp-edged vibe, cut in with a question that shifted the tone dramatically. Sure, but in today's political climate, don't you think it's a bit problematic to keep romanticizing the working-class experience when you're living a very different reality now? His smile was thin, his tone pointed, like a prosecutor setting a trap. The studio went quiet, the audience's laughter replaced by an uneasy hush. This wasn't the breezy entertainment they'd signed up for. Wahlberg shifted in his seat, his brow furrowing. "I'm not sure I follow," he said, his Boston accent thickening, a telltale sign of discomfort. "There's nothing political about respecting hard work or staying true to your roots." The response was measured, but the tension was palpable, like a taut wire ready to snap. Colbert, instead of backing off, leaned in further, his eyes glinting with the confidence of a host in his domain. "Well, some might say it's convenient to claim working-class credibility while living in a multi-million-dollar mansion," he pressed, his voice sharp, "especially when your fans are out there dealing with real economic struggles." The camera panned to the audience, catching confused glances and awkward shifts in seats. The playful vibe of the Late Show had vanished, replaced by something raw and uncomfortable. Wahlberg paused, his jaw tightening, but he kept his cool. "Steven, I'm here to talk about my movie, not to get a lecture on politics or have my character questioned," he said, his voice steady but edged with steel. "I've worked hard for everything I've got, and I've never pretended to be anything I'm not." The audience stirred, some nodding in support, others whispering, unsure where this was headed. Colbert's producer, visible just off camera, made urgent gestures, but the hosts either didn't see or chose to ignore them. Instead, he doubled down, his tone shifting from comedic to confrontational. "Don't celebrities have a responsibility to acknowledge their privilege, especially when they're selling an image that doesn't match their reality?" The question hung heavy, the studio so quiet you could hear the hum of the lights. Wahlberg leaned forward, his eyes locked on Colbert's. "I think celebrities have a responsibility to be honest," he said, his voice low, deliberate. "And honestly, Steven, I'm starting to feel like I was invited here under false pretenses. If you wanted a political debate, you should have booked a politician." The crowd gasped, a mix of shock and admiration rippling through the room. This was no longer a talk show interview, it was a clash of wills, raw and unscripted. Colbert's smile faltered, his fingers gripping the desk. He opened his mouth to respond, but the network cut to commercial abruptly, a few seconds earlier than planned, the screen fading to ads for car insurance and energy drinks. When the show returned, viewers were stunned to see Colbert alone at his desk, no mention of Wahlberg, smoothly transitioning to the next segment as if nothing had happened. But social media was already ablaze, with audience members tweeting about the tense exchange and speculating about what went down during the break. According to staffers who later spoke to entertainment outlets, the real drama unfolded off camera. As soon as the cameras stopped rolling, Colbert tore off his microphone and stood, his genial host persona evaporating. "What do you think you're doing?" he snapped at Wahlberg, who was still seated, his expression calm but resolute. "This is my show. You don't get to come in here and lecture me on how to do my job." Wahlberg rose, his height and presence filling the space. "I came here to promote a film, not to be your political punching bag," he shot back, his voice steady. "Where I come from, you treat guests with respect." The exchange, witnessed by a stunned production crew, escalated quickly. "You know what your problem is, Mark?" Colbert said, pointing a finger, his voice rising. "You think your blue-collar story gives you some moral high ground. You've been rich and famous for decades, so you're as out of touch as anyone in Hollywood." Wahlberg's jaw clenched, but he didn't raise his voice. "And you think hiding behind comedy gives you a pass to ambush your guests?" he replied. "I've been straight up my whole career. Can you say the same?" The standoff was interrupted by the senior producer, who rushed onto the set, glancing nervously between the two men. "We need to move on with the show," she urged. "We've got 2 more segments and another guest waiting." Colbert, his face flushed, didn't back down. "I'm not going back out there with him," he said, loud enough for the crew to hear. "Either he goes, or I do." The ultimatum hung in the air, the studio's staff frozen in disbelief. Wahlberg, incredulous, shook his head. "You're seriously throwing me off your show because I wouldn't let you lecture me?" he asked, his voice laced with disbelief. Colbert turned to him, his eyes blazing. "This isn't your movie set, Mark, this is my house, and we play by my rules. The senior executive producer, summoned from the control booth, made a snap decision that would spark industry chatter for weeks. Mark, I think it's best if we reschedule your appearance for another time, she said, her tone diplomatic but firm. Wahlberg looked from her to Colbert, realization dawning. So that's how it works, he said, his voice low. He throws a tantrum, and I'm the one asked to leave. He unclipped his microphone, tossing it onto the chair. This wasn't about my film. It was about trying to make me look bad from the start. As security approached to escort him out, Wahlberg held up a hand. No need. I know my way out. He grabbed his jacket, pausing to look at Colbert one last time. You know the difference between us, Stephen? I play characters for a living, but I'm always myself when the cameras stop. Can you say that? Colbert's face reddened, but he said nothing as Wahlberg turned and headed for the exit. The tension in the studio was thick, the crew standing in stunned silence. A young production assistant, handing Wahlberg his phone, whispered, "For what it's worth, this isn't the first time something like this has happened." Wahlberg nodded, unsurprised. "Won't be the last either." Backstage, Colbert huddled with his writing team, barking orders to rework the show. "No mention of this when we come back," he instructed. "Move the musical guest up, extend the monologue." The next guest, a rising actress promoting her debut film, watched the monitors from the green room, her eyes wide with concern. "Is everything okay?" she asked a staffer. "Just a change of plans," came the rehearsed reply. Mr. Wahlberg had to leave unexpectedly. On set, the floor manager counted down to the return from commercial, and Colbert, straightening his tie, slipped back into his host persona, his smile as polished as ever. "Welcome back, folks," he said smoothly, the cameras rolling. "Unfortunately, Mark Wahlberg had to leave, but we've got a great show ahead." The audience murmured, confused, some exchanging glances, sensing the cover-up. The show limped on, but the energy was off. Colbert's jokes felt forced, his banter with the musical guest overly enthusiastic, as if trying to erase the earlier tension. During the final commercial break, he pulled his head writer aside. "We'll need to address this tomorrow," he admitted, scrolling through his phone, where tweets about the incident were already trending. "What's our angle?" The writer hesitated. "Apologize? Make a joke? Double down?" Colbert's jaw tightened. "We say it was a scheduling issue, time constraints. Nothing about backstage." The writer nodded skeptically. The audience saw what happened. "They'll know it wasn't just scheduling." Colbert's voice hardened. "It has to work. I'm not admitting I lost control of my own show." As the audience filed out, their conversations buzzed with what they'd witnessed. "Did you see Wahlberg's face when Colbert went after him?" one woman asked her friend. "I've never seen a talk show get that real." Her friend nodded, and then they just acted like nothing happened when they came back. "So weird." Outside, Wahlberg brushed off paparazzi with a curt, "Watch the show. It speaks for itself." In his SUV, his phone rang. Dwayne Johnson, his longtime friend, heard what went down. Johnson said, "You good?" Wahlberg glanced back at the studio fading in the distance. "Yeah. Just reminded why I stick to talking about the work." Backstage, Colbert's mood soured further. "Who vetted him?" he snapped at his staff. "Did anyone check his talking points?" "We looked unprepared." A junior producer spoke up nervously. "We sent standard prep questions, sir." His team was told it'd be a promotional interview. Colbert's eyes narrowed. "Standard doesn't mean softball. We have a responsibility to challenge these people." A writer muttered under her breath to a colleague, "Funny how that only applies to certain guests." But the story was already leaking. Audience members posted eyewitness accounts online. Strangest taping ever. Wahlberg was gone after the break, and Colbert pretended nothing happened. By morning, entertainment blogs were digging, insiders spilling details of the backstage confrontation. The clash had exposed a deeper truth about late-night TV, the tension between authenticity and performance. Wahlberg, true to his roots, refused to play the scripted game, while Colbert, behind his comedic mask, revealed a rigidity that clashed with his public image. The incident wasn't just a viral memento, it was a window into the fragility of late night's carefully curated world. Wahlberg's unyielding honesty collided with Colbert's need for control, and the fallout showed what happens when the script is tossed aside. Fans took sides online, some praising Wahlberg's stand, others defending Colbert's right to ask tough questions. But the real takeaway was the rarity of the moment, a glimpse of unfiltered truth in an industry built on polished facades. That's the story of the night. Mark Wahlberg took on Stephen Colbert and walked away, leaving a stunned studio and a fractured show in his wake. If this deep dive into one of Hollywood's rawest moments hooked you, smash that like button, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Colbert out of line, or did Wahlberg overreact? Let's hear it. Until next time, stay real.